Before I begin this video, I have a very important announcement to make, and that is that Boru, he knows who he is a man of his word. And it's not like it was ever in any question or doubt, but he just had a reputation to uphold, and uphold it he did. Because when two honorable gentlemen have a friendly bet over forecasts of future events, and one side, of course, wins and the other one loses, it's custom for the winner to commend the loser on being a man of his word and coming through. Because that's actually what separates an honorable gentleman, a man of his word, from your average Rusimp who you can't really trust about anything they ever say or talk about, or promise, or commit to. Because with such a person, you really can't make any sort of deals or arrangements or negotiations or whatever, or discuss it or talk about whatever anyway. And now, with all that out of the way, cheers. As always, name's Alex, and I'm no economist, but I'm also not a diplomat, because if I was a diplomat, probably any deal, peace negotiation, peace agreement I would ever be able to strike would probably fall apart, not hold out, and it would probably fall apart so bad that we'd probably already be in World War III if I was in charge of any sort of peace negotiations anywhere around the world. But speaking about failed diplomatic and peace agreements, one agreement that really didn't go anywhere is the famed and fabled Minsk Agreements between Ukraine and the Russian state that were supposedly supposed to stop the separatist civil war in the Donbass and the east of Ukraine. However, I believe that those agreements were never in good faith by either side, but a lot of Rusimps and Russian trolls out there will like to always bring up the Minsk Accords in any conversation that concerns Ukraine and the Ukraine war. Anytime something doesn't go their way in an argument, they will go and say, yeah, but what about the Minsk Accords and the Minsk Agreements? Why didn't Ukraine follow them? Why didn't they? Because right now, I don't even believe a lot of those people who are always bringing up the Minsk Accords. I don't believe that they've ever read them and know what they're about. So what we're going to be doing here for this video is we're actually going to go and read the Minsk Agreements. Now, if you'll bear with me while I share my screen, one moment. Sharing the screen, and this is the source where I found this is published by Union. I also have it from the Financial Times, but let's stick with Union instead. This PDF that they've published. So now we are going to read Minsk II Agreement English translation, full text as published by Union. The following text is the full English translation of the Minsk II Agreement. It was published on the Ukrainian Union info website on the 12th of February, and that was probably, 2015. A list of measures to fulfill the Minsk Agreement. February 12th, 2015. Let me just check also on the Financial Times. Same date. Okay. So let's, point number one, immediate and comprehensive. Let's go back to what I was sharing. Okay. An immediate and comprehensive ceasefire in individual areas of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions of Ukraine, and its strict implementation starting at 0000 hours Kiev time, February 15th, 2015. The withdrawal of heavy weapons by both parties at equal distances in order to create at least a 50-kilometer security zone for 100-millimeter or larger caliber artillery systems, a 70-kilometer security zone for Grad multiple rocket launcher systems, and a 140-kilometer security zone for the Tornado S Uragan, and Smerch multiple rocket launcher systems, and Tochka-U tactical missile systems. Now, I'm just going to be reading point by point the actual text, and it's probably suitable to do additional research elsewhere in another time, whether and how much all of these points have been adhered to or violated by both of the sides. And also, I'm going to ask you, besides Ukraine, who is the other side of this agreement? Who is this agreement with? We'll probably get to that. So, for Ukrainian troops, withdrawal from the actual contact line. For the military units of individual areas, the signee, one of the parties of this agreement, is military units of the individual areas of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions of Ukraine. Yeah, so that's one of the two parties of this agreement. So, withdrawal from the contact line in accordance with the Minsk Memorandum of September 19th, 2014. So this is a second version of the Minsk Agreements. Maybe I should have found also the first one. But anyway, so, scroll. Yeah, withdrawal of aforementioned heavy weapons shall begin no later than the second day of the ceasefire and end within 14 days. The OSCE, that's the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, will contribute to this process with the support of the Trilateral Contact Group. Starting the first day of such withdrawal, ensuring the effective monitoring and verification by the OSCE of the ceasefire and the withdrawal of heavy weapons with the use of all necessary technical means, including satellites, UAVs, radar systems, etc. On the first day after the withdrawal, to begin a dialogue on the procedure for holding local elections in accordance with Ukrainian law and the law of Ukraine, on a temporary order of local government in individual areas of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, as well as on the future regime of these areas according to this act. Immediately, no later than 30 days, from the date of signing this document, to adopt a resolution of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, that's the Parliament of Ukraine, with the specification of a territory subject to the special regime in accordance with the law of Ukraine on temporary order of local government in some regions of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, based on the line set in a Minsk Memorandum of September 19, 2014. Yeah, we probably really should have went and read that first in advance. Maybe next time. Okay. To provide pardons and amnesties by the enactment of a law prohibiting prosecution and punishment of persons with regards to the events that took place in individual areas of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions of Ukraine. So this basically give all the terrorist separatists that were funded by the Russian state amnesty. Yeah, like people like Igor Girkin, who's also known as Strelkov, who is now sitting in a Russian prison for discrediting the Russian armed forces and saying that this war is a losing endeavor. 6. To ensure the release and exchange of hostages and illegally detained persons based on the principle of all for all, this process must be completed no later than the 5th day after the withdrawal. Yeah, that makes sense. After you establish a peace agreement, you probably want to exchange all prisoners. To provide secure access, delivery, storage, and distribution of humanitarian aid to the needy on the basis of an international mechanism. Makes sense. The termination of the procedure of the full restoration of the socio-economic relations, including transactions of social payments such as pensions and other payments, takings and income, timely payment of all utility bills, renewal of taxation within Ukraine's legal framework. To this end, Ukraine shall regain control over the segment of its banking system in conflict-affected areas, and an international mechanism to facilitate such transfers will probably be created. Yeah, when a peace agreement has the word "probably" in it, does this make a lot of sense? To me, not that much. restoration of full control over the state border of Ukraine by Ukraine's government throughout the whole conflict area, which should begin on the first day after the local elections and be completed after a comprehensive political settlement. Local elections in individual areas of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions. Yeah, those are the separatist regions, Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republic. So, on the basis of the law of Ukraine and a constitutional reform by the end of 2015. On condition of implementation of paragraph 11, which with consultations and in agreement with the representatives of individual areas of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions in the framework of the Trilateral Contact Group. Point 10. The withdrawal of all foreign armed forces, military equipment, as well as mercenaries from the territory of Ukraine under the supervision of the OSCE, disarmament of all illegal groups. Conducting constitutional reform in Ukraine with the new constitution coming into force by the end of 2015, providing for decentralization as a key element, taking into account the characteristics of individual areas of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, agree with representatives of these areas, as well as the adoption of the permanent legislation on the special status of individual areas of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions in accordance with the measures specified in Note 1 until the end of 2015. Yeah, see notes. We'll probably get to those notes later. On the basis of the law of Ukraine, on temporary order of government, of local government in individual areas, Donetsk and Luhansk regions, the questions regarding local elections shall be discussed and agreed with the individual areas of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions. I'm just going to call these the DPR and LPR for in the future. In the framework of the Trilateral Contact Group, elections will be held in compliance with the relevant standards of the OSCE, with the monitoring of the OSCE ODA-IHR. I don't know what that abbreviation means right now. To intensify the activities of the Trilateral Contact Group, including through the establishment of working groups to implement the relevant aspects of the Minsk Agreement, they will reflect the composition of the Trilateral Contact Group. Notes. Such measures, in accordance with the law on the special order of local government in DPR and LPR, include the following: exemption from punishment, harassment, and discrimination of persons associated with the events that took place in the DPR and LPR. Basically, an amnesty for separatist terrorists that were backed by the Russian state. The right to self-determination with regards to language. Participation of local governments in the appointment of heads of prosecutors' offices and courts in individual areas of the DPR and LPR. The possibility for central executive authorities to conclude arrangements with the relevant local authorities on economic, social, and cultural development of the DPR and LPR. The state shall support socioeconomic development of the DPR and LPR. Assistance from the central government to cross-border cooperation between the DPR and LPR and regions of the Russian state. The creation of people's militia units, police, upon the decision of local councils, in order to maintain public order in the DPR and LPR. The powers of local council disputes and other officials elected in snap elections appointed by the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, according to this law, cannot be terminated. The document is signed by the members of a Trilateral Contact Group, OSCE Ambassador Heidi Tagliavini, if I'm reading that correctly. Second President of Ukraine, Leonid Kuchma, the Ambassador of the Russian state to Ukraine, Zuborov, A.V. Zakharensku, I don't know who this is, and I.V. Plotnitsky. Anyway, that was the full text. Let's just, yeah, you can see this. Yeah, this should be on the Financial Times, the same text. I'm looking through it. Oh no, I think this is actually the. What is this? What am I reading on the Financial Times? Is this maybe the first part, or what is it? Even though this is also published on the 12th of February, this should be the exact same text. So safe access delivery, yeah. This should match. This should be the same text. So I think what we've read was at least maybe a second part of the Minsk Agreements, Minsk 2. And now that we have read it, we can say that we've read it. And the next time when you have a Rusimp telling you, yeah, but what about the Minsk Accords? You can tell them, yeah, what about the Minsk Accords? I've read them, or at least I've listened to a guy on YouTube read them out loud for me while I read along. Have you read them? What about the Minsk Accords? Where does in the Minsk Accords say that anything that violates the Minsk Accords is so a warrant for the Russian state to roll in with tanks into Ukraine and restore order? Does it say that anywhere? I don't think it does. And unfortunately, the reason I had to do this is a lot of people will talk about things that they never read. So now that we've read the Minsk Agreements, really, what part of them do you think is even important besides everything that was probably implemented as a result immediately after the withdrawal of troops and other arrangements? Do you think that Ukraine has been violating those agreements, or maybe the Russian state has been violating them? And what about it? Anyway, I think we've read it. And next time someone asks you even about the Minsk Accords, show them this video and even ask them, what about the Minsk Accords? Why are they so important? Anyway, that's all I had for this video. I've been Alex. I've not been an economist, nor have I been a diplomat. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for future videos. There will be more videos. And in fact, this channel intends to heavily pivot towards reading material, both fiction and non-fiction, and both in Bulgarian and in English. So stick around for that. We're going to be reading a lot of stuff on this channel in the future. Drop me a comment below telling me how I really don't get it, and if Ukraine had followed the Minsk Accords, there really wouldn't be this war right now, or whatever. Tell me all about it below. And since this was a video tangentially related, at least, to the war in Ukraine, I have to conclude with the following: glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes, and Russia delenda est.